Okay, so OBS is being really weird today. So let me see if I can get through all of this. But anyway, so once you log in with root and the password that you set during the installation, you can get through all of this. First time you log in, you'll get this issue here, which, I mean, you don't have to join this thing, and you're likely going to not use this a whole heck of a lot. So yeah, don't bother. You can just uncheck that box and then move on down through all of this. So you can pretty much see it's almost identical. 6.5 in the screenshot, 7.0 in mine. But anyway, the whole deal here is that virtual machines that you're running, you can find here. You can see how they're behaving. You can see their internal host name. You can see that most of mine are all, well, all of mine are Linux VMs doing their thing in the background. Storage, what you'll see in yours, you'll see the 150 gig disk that you have given. It will automatically be a data store, and you'll be able to use it to create stuff. So in the lab, I think we have you as you're going on through. You're going to create a directory. Yeah, data store browser. Create a directory here, and then just name it ISO or anything you want. I mean, you can call it images or whatever. This is just where you're gonna load all of your disk images that you want to create VMs out of. So here I've got Fedora server, Ubuntu server in there, and then to upload, right? Click on the upload, find the thing you want to upload, and upload it. That's pretty much it. As far as all that goes. If you're on Windows, that's what your the little dialog will look like. When you select it and hit OK, it's going to take a little while. There'll be a little progress bar right here that you'll see. It'll kind of crawl across. That server ISO is a good size. It's like 4 or 5 gigs, so it will take a little bit. And that's where 5 gigs of some of that storage will go, and more of it to the VM itself. Anyway. And yeah, you can check out the results down here, right here, under the recent tasks. And then you'll create a Windows 2012 R2 virtual machine. So the same as you did in VMware Workstation, you'll do the same thing here. So create register VM. So make sure you're under virtual machines, create register VM, and then you kind of go through this this whole setup here. Next on through, and it's going to be the same basic process that you did before. Always choose the current version of ESXi unless you have a good reason not to do so. OS family is going to be Windows, and then of course Server 2012, and then just move on. This is where your VM is going to live. The files, the VMDK files that are your virtual hard disk. And then this should look familiar. May not look exactly familiar, but the questions that it's asking are familiar, right? How many CPUs, how much RAM, how big of a disk, and then the rest of this is pretty easy to do. But right here, the CD DVD drive thing, you typically want to choose the data store ISO file. So when you do that, let's see, we'll go through real quick so you can see how this works. Server 2012, next. Customize settings, and then, so by default, it's host device. You want to do data store ISO file, and then it will let you come in here and choose your Windows ISO. So make sure you do that. Yeah, it's mad at me. I didn't select one. And then just hit next, and you'll get to, you'll see your, basically all the choices that you chose. And then at this point, this is going to behave very much like Workstation does, except instead of allowing you to, yeah, that's the one I just did. Instead of allowing you to have a separate window, you can actually do that too, though. But by default, you usually click on this, and it'll open up a terminal, or basically a window inside of it. But notice, it doesn't go outside of that browser. So be aware, you can't just drag it anywhere you want to, unless... If you do console, you can do open console a new window or open console a new tab. I tend to do the window, and like that. You've got a window that you can drag around, minimize, and do all that stuff with. So ESXi is actually really cool in that you're able to do these kinds of things and play around with it. Honestly, I really encourage anybody that that has a spare desktop in the corner that isn't doing a whole lot. If you can spare a keyboard and a monitor for a little while to get ESXi installed, everybody, by the way, everybody gets one free install of ESXi. What you're installing in this lab is going to be the trial, but everybody that wants it can go and get ESXi and install it indefinitely one time. You get one license for it, and you're able to just utilize that forever. And this is what I do here at home. That's what this one's about. I think I still need to drop my key, and I installed it maybe a couple of months ago. I think it gives you like 60 or 90 days, maybe a month ago. And I still need to drop the key in there so it stops yelling at me. But either way. Anyhow, so yeah, I mean, run that at home if you can, and then this will run a lot of your VMs that you can do here at home. Like you can run a Minecraft server at home if you're into that kind of thing. You can run home automation at home. I run Nextcloud, which is like a Google Drive alternative, and I also run Plex, which is like a Netflix alternative at home using VMs. So I mean, it's good stuff. Anyhow. So you'll go through and start messing with some of the features. In this step, you're going to force it to the BIOS screen so that you can choose the correct boot device, and then it'll drop you down into Windows Server 2012 R2. I think by default, though, you don't necessarily have to do that. If you start up the machine, it boots straight into that ISO that you mount, and after you reboot, it usually spits that ISO out, or at least it does not boot from that ISO. It boots from the first hard disk. So, but it is a good thing to go through these steps so you know exactly how to deal with this kind of thing if it does ever come up. So always good. And then really from here, it's basically just installing the rest of Windows. Working with snapshots and ESXi, so this should be a familiar concept to you. Just looks a little different. Once you have a VM, you can go to Actions, come down here to snapshots and take a snapshot. You can manage snapshots from here and delete some of the old ones, all of that kind of fun stuff. And let me see. Oh, yeah. So this is really just an example of what happens when you roll back. So it's, you're creating a file here on the desktop. You'll roll back to the previous snapshot, and then when you come back in, you'll realize that it's gone. It's done. So anyway, so a non-persistent hard drive. One of the cool things about this is that it's basically gonna just be the same thing over and over and over again. So if you reboot, all the stuff is lost, and you just log into it the same way that you did the first time. So that is a really cool feature as well, and that's the last thing that you'll need to do in this lab. Really cool stuff. ESXi is totally worth your time. This is the de facto hypervisor out there as far as adoption goes. Anybody who's anybody is probably using VMware or Hyper-V. If they run a lot of Linux infrastructure, then it's likely KVM, and probably to a much lesser extent, Zen server. So either way, VMware is something good to dive into and good to really get your feet wet on. And I think the best way to do that is to run it at home. And like I said, you get one free license. You can just go check out VMware vSphere free. And yeah, get free ESXi. So create an account. It's free to do so. They don't email you that I know of. I don't think they do. I don't get any spam from them. And then you'll go to license and download ESXi. Use Rufus to put it on a flash drive. If you don't know what Rufus is, and you're on a Windows box, Rufus is fantastic. Rufus.ie. It's a way to just flash ISOs onto a flash drive. Plug in that flash drive to your extra desktop or whatever device that you have that you would like to run VMs on. But remember, this becomes only a hypervisor at this point. So this is why I say extra desktop. Don't put this on your actual desktop. That will be all you're able to run. If you're on your actual desktop and that's all you got, then Hyper-V is a better choice. Because as I said before, it really just runs like a Type 2 hypervisor. So anyway, download this, run this. The portable one is super duper nice. That way you can just leave it on your desktop. and it doesn't install. You just run it from that executable file. Anyway, and then the license comes here. So it's just a key that you will copy and paste into the hypervisor once you actually log into the web interface. So it's totally worth, it is totally worth doing. Definitely recommend you do that. And if you need projects to run inside of there, I know, I totally said projects, but, and I know that you're totally inundated with all of this web stuff and class and whatever. But during something like spring break, if you have time, if you're not going anywhere or something like that, you're just relaxing, but you still enjoy messing with tech stuff in your downtime, ESXi is a fantastic project to do then. And as we circle back around to, I know it's a long ways off, but as we circle back around to winter break or something like that, if you're still hanging around TSEC and taking classes, then winter break is a fantastic time to do projects like these. But if you find yourself with extra time, whether that's during break or during weekends or whatever, and you would like some really interesting projects to work on that may have some use for you, like I mentioned, Nextcloud and Plex are just really interesting projects to play with. And it's one of those things where I think you just run into a situation where if you enjoy it, you're going to learn a whole lot more. And if you like hosting stuff like that, then yeah, there's a lot to it. It's more than just VMs and hypervisors and things like that. You learn a lot about whatever your platform is, whether that's Windows or Linux. You learn a lot about the underlying operating systems as well, because you have to. You don't get a choice. If you're running software, you got to know how it all works. Otherwise, if it blows up, you lose everything. Anyway, so that's the basic gist. The case project is super duper simple. Seriously. Find me some links, find me some articles that go over what companies actually use VMware ESXi. Remember that ESXi is one way to name vSphere. So it's okay to Google up, what companies use VMware vSphere. That's fine too. ESXi. They are, for all intents and purposes, for the purposes of this particular project, they're interchangeable. They are the same exact thing. So, finding one that says, oh, we use ESXi, or finding one that says, oh, we use vSphere, totally fine. And again, bullets are fine, but I do need to know where you found your information. This is not like MLA or whatever. Just give me the link. Let me know where you found whatever it is. And to all of these, remember lab and case project. Make sure it's a PDF. Moodle likes PDFs best, and upload the lab here to the Lab 3 submission. That's all you do here. Hey, cool. Someone's already ahead of me. Awesome. And, ooh, there it is. I'm like, oh no, TSCC is going down again. Not that. And your case project as a PDF, submit that right here. So anyhow, if y'all have any questions, please feel free to hop into WebEx. It seems like everything's okay. So this afternoon, hop into WebEx at 2. Or circle back around and we'll hop in again to WebEx Thursday at 2. But if you have just a quick question or something like that, again, feel free to email me or Hangouts or anything else like that. But for now, we'll see you later.